Hello guys, we are from Group 3. In this video, we are going to look at the definition and the use of hypothesis testing in biostatistics.
So what is hypothesis testing? Hypothesis is an idea that can be tested. So if you tell the apple in Malaysia is expensive, it is a statement or an idea but not testable until I have something to compare with. For instance, if I define expensive as expensive is any price above 10 ringgit, then immediately it becomes a hypothesis. Alright, then what is something that can't be a hypothesis? An example may be, would John be a better person under parents' observation or be the opposite without the parents' observation? Statistically, this is an idea but there is no data to test, so it can't be a hypothesis for a statistical test. In contrast, we can test John's academic result with and without the parents' observation, which is a type of data. Then it is a hypothesis. For example, the result of SPM on how many A+, A minus and so on. Hypothesis testing is a key procedure in inferential statistics. It is based on the idea that we can gain information about the population. There are two tests in hypothesis testing, which are one-sided tests, or also called as one-tailed tests, and two-sided tests, or also called as two-tailed tests. First, let's discuss the meaning of a one-sided test. If you are using a significance level of 0.05, a one-tailed test allocates all of your alpha to test the statistical significance in one direction of interest. When using a one-tailed test, you are testing for the possibility of the relationship in one direction and completely disregarding the possibility of a relationship in the other direction. Next, let's discuss about two-sided tests. If you are using a significance level of 0.05, a two-tailed test allocate half of your alpha to test the statistical significance in one direction, and half of your alpha to test statistical significance in the other direction. This shows that you are testing for the possibility of the relationship in both directions. So, moving on to the type of hypothesis. There are two hypotheses that we can have. Firstly, the null hypothesis. The null hypothesis is denoted as HO. And secondly, the alternative hypothesis, which is denoted as HA. The null hypothesis is the statement being tested in a statistical test. This hypothesis is usually a statement of no effect or no difference. Meanwhile, for alternative hypothesis, it is an experimental hypothesis which can be considered as an alternative to the null hypothesis. This hypothesis is a statement that we hope or suspect is true. Test statistic is the value used to decide whether or not the H null should be rejected in hypothesis testing. Test statistic must be calculated to find the difference between samples. In any experiment, there are two types of variation. First is systematic variation, which is a variation due to experimental manipulation. Second is unsystematic variation due to random factors. Now, let me give you an example. Inferential statistic is something that can't be proven to be true. For example, the null hypothesis is all the swans are white. But we can disprove the null hypothesis by finding an exception, in which by saying not all the swans are white, since we have black swans either. So it will be the alternative hypothesis. What we are trying to provide is the evidence for the alternative hypothesis, so that there is always an effect on what we are testing. Then, we set up the opposite as the null hypothesis, and find the evidence to disprove it. Now we have learned about hypothesis, which is an idea that can be tested. In conclusion, there are one-sided tests and two-sided tests in hypothesis testing. There are also two types of hypothesis, which are null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. We hope you enjoy watching our video and thank you.